This time I'd like to call to order the December 14th, 2011 Planning Commission meeting. Let the record show that Commissioners Barrow and Dumas are absent. All other commissioners are present. This time we'll vote on the revised proposed agenda.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Nance, seconded by Commissioner Kluwat to approve. Is there any opposition or discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a copy of a revised agenda.
Okay, it was the copy that came in our packet, so
It doesn't.
do we have any extra
Okay,
copies?
Okay, I thought it was something different. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have that one. I
Yeah,
thought it was different. That's okay.
No. Ms. Webb, would you reflect that Commissioner Dumas is present? Item 4, approval or denial of the minutes of the November 9th, 2011 Planning Commission meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kluwat, seconded by Commissioner Nance. Any opposition or discussion? Motion passes. Item 4, public comment period. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission on any items pertaining to this commission, please come up and sign in, and you will get your 3 minutes to speak. Okay, no one wishing to address the commission, the initial public. Right here, sir. Right here, Mr. Oh, okay, she's getting it. Okay. Sir, did you want to address the commission at this time, or is this?
Is this the open discussion on the tennis court proposal?
No, sir. That'd be the zoning commission meeting, and we won't be discussing the tennis court. That's not on tonight's agenda. For the zoning commission. Okay. All right. No one else wishes to address the commission during the initial comment period. Then the initial public comment period is closed. Moving along. Public hearing to approve or deny the following family partitions. 6A, the Glenn P. Bro property, lots 1A through 1F.
Good evening. Clint Quintmall, representing W.J. Quintmall Surveyors, asking for the family partition approval of the Glenn P. Bro property. The staff comments on 2 and 3 1 and 2 of the variances are applied on the plat. The third item, if you need further discussion, the property owner, which I have one of the heirs to the family partition in the back, is can speak on it. But what we're doing is we're leaving the 30-foot servitude of passage in the second lot. The dad, Glenn P. Bro, is keeping the first lot. The younger children are receiving the back lots as well as grandkids. They want to leave the 30-foot servitude of passage in the family part, or the family portion, in case the front lot is ever sold. It's just not intended to at this moment, but if it's ever sold, then no one who gets the front lot can tell the family in the back whether they can subdivide or not. And so that's why we're leaving the 30-foot private servitude of passage as ownership, not for a frontage requirement, just simply so that anyone who acquired the front lot would not have say-so over the family in the future of giving their kids lots or subdividing lines or moving lines.
Comments or questions from commissioners? There are no comments or questions from commissioners at this time. We'll open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission, please come up and sign in, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to speak on this item. And public comment period is closed. Any other, Mr. Bro, you have any comments you'd like to make anything? Mr. Quintmore, anything else you want to add?
Unless I have to answer any questions, no.
Okay. Comments or questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Dumas.
staff, Ricky, what's the code you require here? Am I reading here that Lot 1B would have to have a 50-foot frontage in order to comply with all the code requirements?
It would have to have a 90-foot frontage because it has no central sewer.
And if they reduce it by 30 feet, they would have 91, correct? It's 141 today, or is it 141 after the 30 foot? It's 141 after the 30 foot.
Correct. After.
And how much do they have to have?
Each lot that has frontage would be required to have 90 feet.
I think I can answer, if you would like me to elaborate.
Go ahead.
He's talking about Lot 1B,
Oh, you're talking about the little,
but
okay.
the frontage for Lot 1B is the frontage just the same as 1C, 1D, 1E. It is along the private servitude of passage. That is its frontage. I made sure that it had that frontage. The ownership going to the frontage to secure the private servitude of passage remains in the family's power. And that's why that's why it contains the 30 foot. The other
Okay.
lot, there's not a problem with the 141. It meets standards, it meets
Yeah,
code.
but you're saying that they require a 50-foot width. He's asking for a variance of it. That's a lot of lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it's a long distance, it's 800 feet.
You're talking about a variance for the servitude width?
Right,
Our opinion on that was, I'm going to default to when we had recommended changes to the subdivision ordinance. We didn't think the private servitudes of access needed to be bigger than 30 feet anyway
Okay.
because they weren't constructing anything substantial in that right-of-way. So the 30-foot variance is fine for us. Our problem was you're creating a lot, i.e. Lot 1B, that has frontage on a public road that doesn't meet the frontage requirement, which is they've got 30 feet, it needs to be 90 feet. And you heard Mr. Quintmont's explanation, and that's up to you guys to decide if that's okay with the commission.
Mr. Kluwer.
Mr. Clint,
Yes,
actual frontage to a road would be the servitude of passage, would it not be, of Lot 1B?
correct, just as.
So in other words, the
other
frontage
lots.
of the lot would actually not be Highway 621, it would be, the servitude of passage would be the Bro Lane, the Bro Lane, so that would be the frontage. Okay,
That's correct.
thank you.
Mr. Dolphin?
Am I correct in understanding that the ownership of the 30-foot private servitude of passage, Maple Bro Lane, the actual ownership of that land is remaining with Lot 1B?
Correct.
Okay, that's the problem.
well, but, so that means that Lot 1B could conceivably control what happens to the rear.
Yes.
As in the reason we're doing is because the current requirements of the pre-dial servitudes are requiring every lot owner to sign a pre-dial servitude, and therefore to eliminate the front lot, which has adequate frontage. If it was to ever transfer, if the father ever needed to sell that piece because the kids are getting the remaining portions in the back, that the front lot would not have power over the remaining lots. It's okay that 1B retains the power because that is within the family of the kids that are receiving the lots, and that is the intention. The reason we're doing it that way is so that the front lot doesn't, a single person does not have power over all the family in the back because
you
of the
can-
requirements of the pre-dial servitude.
Yeah, but that's a private matter, and you can control that with your purchase and sale agreement and bind the buyer to always grant that access.
You could tackle it from that legal standpoint, yes, but I don't see the harm in leaving it at the family's control anyway. I mean, it's not, if you can tell me what the harm is, or what the negative effect of doing this is, I would appreciate
I'm
it.
just exploring it, that's all.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Not, what's the wish of the commission?
Motion to approve with subject to staff's recommendations.
Okay, I have a motion by Julio Dumas to approve with staff's recommendations.
This variance.
With the variances.
But with the variance for the servitude with.
So how about 1 and 2?
Well, I think staff's recommending that. They
staff's
have
re-
ample room to do that one, so I think that.
Staff's recommendations are covering the variances.
Right.
So,
Second.
No, staff recommends denial of the variance for the new T turnaround. They say they have adequate space.
okay.
Well, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we approve it with granting the variances.
All variances?
Correct.
Okay.
I second that motion.
All right, I have a substitute motion to, well, first off, I haven't gotten a second on the original motion. Is there a second on the original motion?
Yeah, I'll second the original motion.
All right, I have a motion to approve, contingent on staff's recommendations by Julio Dumas, seconded by Howard Dalton. I have a substitute motion to approve granting all variances by Bob Nance, seconded by Milton Cluott. This time we'll vote on the substitute motion first, or discussion. First
Well, Mr.
discussion.
Chairman,
Mr. Dalton.
I understand, we've got this T turnaround ordinance. It's becoming a rubber stamp to do away with it, grant a variance. We're eventually going to get ourselves and somebody in trouble because we're going to get vehicles back in there. They can't turn around. I'm really concerned about emergency vehicles and things like that. At some point in time, this commission's going to have to address that T turnaround question in a positive manner, or we're going to need to get rid of it, the ordinance for the T turnaround. So personally, as far back as this is, I wouldn't want to take a vehicle of any size back there without a way to turn it around. That's my comments.
Any other discussion? No discussion. Right now, Mr. Quintmall, let's go ahead and we vote on the substitute motion first. This is the motion to approve and granting all variances. Mr. Dalton,
No.
Mr. Dumas,
No.
Mr. Nance,
Yes.
Mr. Cluott,
Yes.
Mr. Sadley,
Yes.
Mr. Esnard,
Yes.
Ms. Arizua Gradine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Item 6B, the Brian and Gerald Tomplay property, lots A5A and A5B.
My name is Scott Lobel with Lobel Engineering and Land Surveying, and tonight we'd like to request your approval of the family partition of the Brian and Gerald Tomplay property into 2 lots with the request of a waiver on the T-turnaround be constructed at the end of Leon Gosmer Road.
Comments or questions from commissioners? If there are no comments or questions from commissioners, we'll open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission, please come up and sign in, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. Okay, no one wishing to address the commission on this item. The public hearing on this is closed. Anything you want to add, Mr. Lobel?
No, sir.
Okay. Any comments or questions from commissioners?
Yeah, I have.
Mr. Nance?
Have the pretty old agreements been, have y'all done anything on that, or?
Servitude agreements? or-
Right.
No agreements have been prepared by an attorney or anything. They are some survey maps out there that show those servitudes in place.
Mr. Dalton?
Again, the T turnaround question comes up with a slightly different wrinkle. Staff is saying a T turnaround is required at the end of Leon Geismar Road, and the end of Leon Geismar Road, in my understanding, is not one of the pieces of property that's being modified here. So how can staff require a T-turnaround be put on property that's not before this commission tonight?
Mr. Compton and Mr. Leuenberger want to
No,
respond
they
to that?
recommend,
They said the
We're
end of
recommending
Leon
an
Geismar
approval to the
Road,
variance.
and the two lots in question are not at the end of Leon Geismar Road.
Okay.
It's my understanding.
Mr. Leuenberger?
They've asked for a variance for the T turnaround, and we're recommending approval for that exact reason, because the road is an existing private road, and the T turnaround would have to be all the way at the end of the road and not on the property being subdivided at this time. So we're recommending approval to the variance.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because we've got two lots here, and the T-turnaround would be situated on a lot that's not before us. So how can you possibly require a T-turnaround on lots that's not before the board or the commission tonight? I don't understand the logic here.
I mean, because it's an existing road, there is no T turnaround at the end of the road, and so right now the road is in a non-compliance manner, and so
What does that have to do with the two lots, with the lot that's being subdivided into two lots?
well, this is a family partition, so in theory, all the lots are under the control of the family.
But again, I reiterate the question. This is not what's before the commission tonight. We're talking about lot,
A5A and
yeah,
A5.
A5A and A5B. We're not talking about any of the other lots.
I think if I'm reading you correctly, why is a T turnaround even being brought up?
That's my point. Why, I don't see how.
And I kind of have to question that too, because I went out and looked at the property, and if you look at what's out there, there's existing driveways that already create a T turnaround. They already have a T turnaround created. So, Mr. Compton?
Section 17-4040 blocks geometric standards. Excuse me. Section C reads, a cul-de-sac as described in section 1740-100 or a T-turnaround as provided for in section 1740-32 shall be required at the end of dead-end streets which provide access to subdivided lots when the dead-end streets exceed 250 feet or a width of 2 lots in length. That note has become a standard note, a comment, when we review a plat where there's a subdivision of property. Because this subdivision isn't at the end or doesn't continue to the end, it's not relevant. But the note is still relevant because we acknowledge that a T-turnaround needs to be provided by the code whenever you subdivide property and the road extends longer than 250 feet.
I'm not arguing the need for a T-turnaround. What I am saying is that we have the situation here where someone's trying to subdivide basically Lot 5A, who has no ownership of the lots at the end of the road, has no control over the lots at the end of the road where the T-turnaround would be situated. We're putting an unfair burden on the owner of that lot because they can't control what happens down there, nor can this commission mandate a T-turnaround be placed at the end of the road because the applicant doesn't own said lots. Now, am I wrong in my logic, or?
If I may, Mr. Chair. The
Dumas.
logic's, it's good, but this is a family partition. What's the total number of lots in this family, in the whole family partition along Leon Geismar Road?
Mr. Chairman.
I mean, if this is family partition, in theory, they're all in control of the property as family.
I haven't done, I don't know how many lots are actually on the road. But I mean, it could be assumed, but that, it would be an assumption at that point.
Mr. Kluwat, you had a question?
Yes, I too visit the site, and it looks like that there's a existing T-turnaround on the property itself, and I also agree with Commissioner Dalton. How can we, as commissioners, force somebody to do something when they have no control at the end of the road? I mean, how can we force that person that owns a lot at the end to do something whenever that doesn't involve what the applicant is trying to ask right here? I'm curious. Please answer.
Mr. Chairman, could we get an opinion from legal on this?
She's there.
Lindsay?
Ms. Mann, if you want to,
I understand your question. I don't know how you can impose a requirement.
I don't
on
think we
something
can.
that's
I
on
mean,
property.
I think we'd be remiss if we attempted to do that.
I don't think so
I
either.
think at this time, from what Mr. Lundberger said, we haven't determined ownership of the end of the road, so we don't know if the family owns that piece of property. or not.
I don't think if the family owns it or not. I think what's relevant is the two properties or the proposed split of that piece of land only.
Right, no, I understand what you're saying. I think Mr. Compton was saying it's just a standard note when they have a division of this kind, and it might need to be it's a codal issue that should probably be addressed in the future.
I agree. Thank you.
Mr. Nance, you had a question?
Well, yeah, and the staff recommends granting the T-turnaround variance
Correct.
anyway, so.
Are there any other comments or questions from commissioners? Not, what's the wish of the commission?
Move staff's recommendation with the variance, of course.
I have a motion to approve, based on, contingent on staff's recommendation by Julio Dumas.
Second.
Seconded by Howard Dalton. Discussion. No discussion, then we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Nance?
Yes.
Mr. Kluwat?
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler?
Yes.
Mr. Estar?
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 7, public hearing to approve or deny the following preliminary subdivision plat, 7A Momentum Specialty Chemicals.
Good evening, my name is Jerry Middleton. I'm the surveyor for Alvin Fairburn Associates for this project for Momentum Specialty Chemicals to answer any questions you may have on this project. Momentum is looking to cut this 6+ acre tract off of an existing portion of the old Borden property in Geismar to pursue some special, some other business interests that coming down the line. I don't know what they may be, but that's all I was told on this project.
Comments or questions from commissioners? There are no comments or questions from commissioners. We'll open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission, please come up, sign in. You'll get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to address the commission on this item. The public comment period is closed. Comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Middleton, is there anything else you wish to add?
No, sir.
If there are no comments or questions from commissioners, what's the wish of the commission?
I move to approve the preliminary plat.
I have a motion.
Second.
A motion to approve by Bob Nance, seconded by Milton Kluwat. Discussion. No discussion, then we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Nance?
Yes.
Mr. Kluwat?
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler?
Yes.
Mr. Esnard?
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 7B, Greystone.
I'm Greg Bro with Sigma Consulting Group, representing the owners. We are requesting the approval of a revised preliminary plat of Greystone subdivision, which was originally approved back in '05. We are requesting this approval. We are adding a pump station site, and I don't know if you can see the small scale maps you have. If anybody can't see where it is, I've got some larger copies. But since the original approval of this plat on Joe Severio Road has been improved, and there's been utilities added to the west side of the road in front of this subdivision. The original approved construction plans had a fairly deep gravity line running along that area to serve the second filing, to convey the sewage from the second filing to the the treatment plant in the first filing. But since those utilities are there, there's some conflicts now. It's going to be difficult to lay a deep gravity line, so we're proposing to put in an additional pump station to where we can eliminate the deep gravity line and put in a force main to where we don't have conflicts with the utilities.
Comments or questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sadler.
just to be sure, that the lift station you're proposing, sir, is right next to Lot 116 and what is labeled on the plat map common area?
Yes, sir. It's
That-
in the
is that correct?
northwest corner of that common area adjacent to Lot 116, right?
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? If not, then we'll open up the public hearing on this. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission on this item, please come up and sign in, and you get your 3 minutes to speak.
My name is John Payne. I own one of the plots off of Bobby Severio Road that backs up to the subdivision. I was just curious, I haven't seen a map on where the septic tank was proposed to go, but my main concern was drainage against the property on Bobby Severio where it backs up to it. Originally, in the original proposal, they were supposed to put a drainage ditch in between all those lots. That has never been done. What happens whenever we get hard rain, we get a lot of water off that property. My main concern is, are they still going to be mandated to put that drainage ditch in across the back of property? I think it was going to go down and cut to Bobby Severio Road. And that was my main concern.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
There is a swale ditch proposed in the construction plan. That's included in the construction of the second filing, which we're fixing to start. And that ditch will be excavated and put in when that's done. And the gentleman was right. It does take the water from the back of his property down to Bobby Severio Road.
All right. We had anyone else wishing to address the commission on this item? If not, then the public hearing is closed on this. Do you have any further comments you want to make, Mr. Burrow?
No, sir. If y'all have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Comments or questions from commissioners? If there are no comments or questions from commissioners, what's the wish of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Bob Nance, seconded by Milton Cluott. Discussion. No discussion, then we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Nance?
Yes.
Mr. Cluott?
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler?
Yes.
Mr. Esnard?
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 7C, Sagefield Townhomes.
Ellen Jackson with Macklin and Associates, representing the preliminary plat for Sagefield Townhomes. Basically, what we're doing is just converting from condominiums to townhomes. And we will be reducing the number of units by 3, so there shouldn't be any impact on drainage or the traffic. And there were comments, they all have been addressed, and I'm asking for your approval.
Comments or questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sadler?
just to be sure, when I visited this site, T1 through T11 is where these townhouses are going to go?
Yes.
Well, no condominiums will be taken down to accommodate this, right?
No, it was approved for condominium. They were never built, so we're just converting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're just right across from where that clubhouse is
Yes.
sitting? And Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Not, then we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission on this item, please sign in, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name is Tanya Hughes. I own one of the condos on the property. And my question is, I haven't seen the plans, but I was told about the improvements it's going to make. Now, when y'all build this other property, is the rest of that fence going to be finished on the property?
Ms. Hughes, would you mind directing your comments to the commission?
Oh.
You'll get your questions answered.
Okay.
Just please direct everything.
I'm
your
sorry.
comments. That's all right.
Well, whenever you enter, it's supposed to be gated, but the gate only goes when you're coming in to the left-hand side. The right-hand side has never, ever been finished because we were told that property was going to go up where that fence line was and take the place of a fence. But then that property never got built, and then they had proposed this plan. So my question is that ever going to be closed?
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
Excuse me. I'm not sure which fence she's talking about. She can come and look at the plan, but anyway, I know there will be a fence around the townhouse part, completely around it. And I can let the developer know of her concerns about the fence as far as it being completed on that other side.
Okay. Is anyone else wishing to address the commission on this item? Not, then the public comment period on this is closed. Comments or questions from commissioners? If not, what's the wish of the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Sorry,
Dumas.
I was trying to think about a question, trying to figure out that, I think this is still open, Ellen. I really need to figure out exactly where this fence is that she says is missing.
She's looking at it
Huh?
now. You talking about, she's reviewing the plans now to show me where the fence is she's talking about.
Okay. Because if this is all part of the condominium development and everything, then, we should take the opportunity to address it now.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Kluot.
The lady from the survey.
Ellen Jackson.
Miss Jackson?
Excuse me?
When I visit the site, when you drive up to the gate only goes about maybe 10 feet to the right. Is that what the gate and the fence the young lady's talking about? Are you going to extend it to where it touches the new part that you're going to build? Are you going to extend and close that? I think that's
That
what
is going to be enclosed by a fence, yes.
that's in other words, the fence she's talking about, if I'm not wrong, is that when you drive up to enter into the site through the gates, the fence to the right-hand side stops about 10 feet from the gate, and it's wide open. You really can just go around it. Is that fence going to extend to where it hits the new condo?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's the fence she's talking about. Okay, then, Mr. Dumas, when you drive up to the property, the gate has a fence, but the gate to the right of it the fence only goes about 10 feet. She's saying they're going to extend it to the new site, closing it up.
Okay.
And I think that's what the young lady was talking about that spoke at public comment. So I think it might do good that we make that clear.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
if it's okay, if it's appropriate, I'm going to make a motion that I recommend approval, subject to you extending the fence to meet the gate.
And I second that motion.
All right, I have a motion to approve addressing issues with the fence and the gate by Julio Dumas, seconded by Milton Kluot. Discussion. No discussion? We'll go ahead and vote.
Yes.
Dalton. Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Nance?
Yes.
Mr. Kluot?
Yes.
Mr. Sadler?
Yes.
Mr. Esnard?
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 8, public hearing to approve or deny the following final subdivision plats. 8A, Momentum Specialty Chemical.
Jerry Middleton, with Alvin Fairburn and Associates to request approval of the final plat for this Momentum Specialty Chemicals subdivision in the industrial zone. The main issue was whether or not the road was met parish standards, which it did not. The road has been there since the Geismar was started back in the mid-60s. That road through I guess almost the early mid-90s, that road was the major 24/7 thoroughfare for 18-wheelers and in and out, and the plant workers going to the former Uniroyal plant, Rubicon, Liquid Carbonic, which is now Praxair, and Monochem, which is now part of the old Uniroyal line copolymer company. It's always been there. It's still there. It's gated. It's not open, subject to public use. There's a guardhouse on Highway 73. And that's it.
Okay, well, I've got a question for staff. Typically, and I'm just trying to get a handle on what's being said about this road. Typically, the roads inside the plants are private.
It is, but it's a private.
I mean, it's an enter at your
plant
own
road.
risk. So the parish has never really taken any stand on roads inside these industrial areas, because really the plants maintain the roads themselves. So I guess I'm just a little curious as to the comments, the staff comments pertaining to the road.
I mean, typically for any kind of private subdivision, they have to meet the standards of the parish, and whatever the road standards of the public roads for the parish, the private roads also have to meet inside a private subdivision. Now, to my knowledge, I don't believe when these industrial areas come before the planning commission and subdivide their property that I mean that they've always maintained a private road, and I don't believe the parishes have ever accepted any of the roads inside of the industrial areas, and so that's
No, but I was required to spend over $2,000 to have a road course taken for this road.
Okay, sir, I'd like to.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Please continue, Mr. Ludenberg.
So because it is a private subdivision and it's coming forth to the planning commission, it has to go through the private subdivision process, and that's the reason why it had to go through the engineering review process for that.
All right. Mr. Middleton, you had some other comments you wanted?
No, sir, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. There any comments or questions from commissioners? None? Then we'll open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission, please sign in and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to speak, the public comment period is closed on this item. Comments or questions from commissioners? All right, very well, what's the wish of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we take staff's recommendations and approve this project per staff's recommendation.
Have a motion to approve based on staff recommendations by Milton Cluott.
Second.
Second by Bob Nance. Discussion. No discussion. We'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton.
Yes.
Mr. Dumas.
Yes.
Mr. Nance.
Yes.
Mr. Cluott.
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler.
Yes.
Mr. Esnard.
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 8B, Melgrave campsites.
Ellen Jackson with Macklin and Associates, representing Mr. Grady Melanson for the Melgrave campsites. We're proposing this 5-lot campsite development. There were comments, and they have all been addressed. Asking for your approval.
Comments or questions from commissioners? There are no comments or questions from commissioners. We'll open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission, please sign in and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. Okay, no one wishing to address the commission on this item. Public comment period is closed. Comments or questions from commissioners? What's the wish of the commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sadler.
I move that we approve the campsite subdivision.
Have a motion to approve by
Second.
Daniel Sadley, seconded by Milton Cluott. Discussion. No discussion. We'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton.
Yes.
Mr. Dumas.
Yes.
Mr. Nance.
Yes.
Mr. Cluott.
Yeah.
Mr. Sadley.
Yes.
Mr. Esnard.
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 9, public hearing to recommend approval or denial to the parish council of the following servitude revocations. 9A Perkins Oaks subdivision, lots 162 through 193. Is there anyone here to represent Perkins Oaks?
My name is Jason Catchwell. I live in Perkins Oak subdivision, and we would like to reduce the 15-foot servitude in the rear to a 7.5-foot servitude. It's non-utility, and Drainage has been back there and looked at it and said he doesn't see a problem with it either.
Okay. Comments or questions from commissioners?
Just out of curiosity,
Nance?
did you happen to contact the people in the adjoining subdivision to see if they wanted to do the same thing at the same time?
No, sir, I did not.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dalton.
I don't see a letter from the Department of Public Works. There's a comment allegedly from the Department of Public Works, but I don't see a letter unless that's what this is here.
Yeah.
I was looking for something different, I'm sorry. Well, my only concern is they're saying that it's being maintained from the Bell Grove side. Well, that may be current, but suppose the parish decides they want to maintain it from the Red Oaks side someday. I mean, those servitudes are put in there for a reason, to grant reasonable access for drainage maintenance. And so now somebody's assuming that the parish is always going to come in from the Bell Grove subdivision, and I think that's an unfounded assumption.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cluott.
Staff, could you comment on this approval from Mr. Rue, the Drainage Department? Can y'all comment on that as to why y'all, what y'all saying in that letter, please?
Yes, I don't think Bill, Mr. Rue's here tonight, but I do know that they had no objection to the revocation of the servitude itself, as stated in the letter.
Mr. Catwall, you had something you wanted to add?
Yes, sir. When I had spoken to Mr. Rue, he said that a 7.5-foot servitude on the Red Oak side would be more than ample for what they would ever need. There's no need for the 15-foot.
Mr. Jim?
Mr.
What is the purpose of reducing it from 15 to 7.5?
Give us more use of our yards.
Wait a minute. You can use your yard now, you just can't
Yeah.
build on the servitude. There's nothing that says you can't use it as a yard.
For storage buildings or garages, whatever. If we build something, we have the extra space to use at our discretion.
What's your building setback line on those properties?
You talking about from the road?
No, from the back.
Back.
Your back setback from the property line. You can't build up to the property line.
No, sir. There's a 15-foot servitude right there.
What's the setback for this zoning? Rear setback,
The rear setback for this zone is 20 feet from the
20
property
feet.
line. Mhm.
So really, you have 20 feet you can't build on anyway. You can put a patio, but that's about it. You can't build any structures. So you have 5 feet more than the servitude that you can't build a structure in.
Or were you thinking that you could build up to the 7.5-foot point?
Yes, sir.
You can't do that.
Can't do that. You still have, you got 12 and a half feet you can't use on top of the 7.
Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Yes, I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kluwat?
I see that staff did not give us a recommendation other than the drainage department. Is that what y'all basing y'all decision to us, is that let the drainage department tell us their recommendation? What is y'all recommendations from the department, from your department?
As typical for all other revocation of servitudes, we always default to the drainage department's recommendation because they deal with these matters on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, now, let's address the 20-foot building line. That would fall under your jurisdiction, right?
That would fall under the zoning code, correct? Yes.
Yeah, that's, okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cattwar, is there anything else you'd like to add? I need to open up the public hearing.
No, sir, that's
but,
fine. Yeah.
Okay. No, you sit down right there. You have a chance to, if anybody else gets up and speaks, you have a chance for rebuttal if you need to. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to come up and address the commission, please come up, sign in, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to address the commission? The public comment on this item period is closed. Mr. Cattwar? Okay. If there's any additional comments that you'd like to make right now, now's the time.
I don't have any other comments.
Okay. Do you have any other comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Nance?
Well, I kind of have the same problem with it as Mr. Dalton. I think we're putting, if we grant the 7.5, then we're going to put the burden on the Bell Grove subdivision, strictly. And I'm not too sure that's very fair. That's just my comment.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Not, what's the wish of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion this be denied. It serves no useful purpose. It does not grant the applicant any increased use of their land for anything. They can't build in it anyway, and I think it would place an unfair burden on the adjacent subdivision.
I have a motion to recommend denial to the parish council by Howard Dalton. Second by J.B. Esnard. Is discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Nance?
Yes.
Mr. Kluwat?
Yes.
Mr. Sadley?
Yes.
Mr. Esnard?
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine?
Yes.
Motion passes. Of course, this is just a recommendation to the parish council. They'll have the final say on this.
Okay.
So there's still some more steps in the process for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Item 9B, Prairieville Commercial Park, Lot 2.
Good evening, David Patterson with Land Source here representing the owner of Lot 2, Prairieville Commercial Park. We're asking for a reduction in the drainage servitude, and I guess what makes this a little bit unique is that if it's reduced to what we're asking it to be reduced to, we would actually meet the requirements as they are now for the width of a drainage servitude. And I know that there is a recommendation from the drainage engineer to deny it. Do I address that now, or?
This is yes, sir. You can go ahead and.
I guess we're just here asking for some relief for the owner. The gentleman that purchased the property was not the person who built it, and he's looking for some relief. He's not asking to be enriched in any way. He's asking for some relief. I know that the drainage department said something about there's future plans to widen it. I think there are other options that could be that would allow them to widen it. I think they could widen it further to the north if it was absolutely necessary to encroach on the building. They could put some sheet piling in. There are ways to address that. And even if they were to widen it and need the property that we're asking to be revoked, I don't know what they would do. Are they going to, ask the man to move the building, cut off the corner of his building? He's just asking for some relief right now, the way it is now. He's taken a risk and gone ahead and purchased the property and asked me to try to clear the title because right now he's got a significant cloud to his title. Make it very difficult to resell the building and he's just asking for some relief.
Comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Dalton? Sure.
Did your client, when he bought this property, did he get a survey?
Yes, he did. We did
And
the survey,
did
and
you-
we pointed
and you
this.
told him
we-
that. so
Absolutely.
I want to make sure I understand. So this is a self-induced problem. He bought the property knowing that there was an encroachment.
Right.
So
Now
this is a self-induced hardship.
That's, no, absolutely. We pointed it out to him that there was an encroachment of the building into the servitude, but it's not just for him. It just anybody who, it makes the property not unmerchantable, but it just makes it more difficult to sell it. And
My point going here is this is a hardship that the buyer brought upon himself because he bought it with this situation existing, and he had foreknowledge of it. The other thing is you're suggesting that the parish find some alternate method for the drainage or sheet piling or whatever, which is a tremendous cost that the parish should not be required to burden. So yes, by granting this, your client would be relieved of this burden and thereby would be enriched in a way for a situation he created by himself.
Well, I think he's looking to resolve a problem, and
shouldn't have
I
bought
don't
the
know that
property.
it enriches him. He should what?
He shouldn't have bought the property until this was resolved.
Well, I think that he bought it in good faith, that he thought that something could be resolved to eliminate the issue. I mean, I don't think that it necessarily would impart any extra expense on the parish. They could widen it. The thing is it's more land is dedicated there for a drainage servitude than what is required by your own ordinances. And he's
Yeah,
just.
but, I'm sorry, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, but when this plat was created, a drainage study was prepared and it was submitted and a determination was made to size the drainage infrastructure accordingly. It could very well be that this servitude and sizing of this ditch as the property is developed was based on that. We don't have the privilege of that information. Whoever built this building obviously did not pay attention to the
Yeah,
property and the
right.
restrictions that they had.
They probably didn't get a survey.
Well, shame on them.
That's right. Shame on them.
With all due respect, I mean, I have to rely on the Department of Public Works and the drainage group who is responsible for the drainage of the public roads in this parish. I mean, I don't see how we can unilaterally make the decision on one lot that's going to potentially alter the flow of water, regardless of, I mean, what you're representing to me. We don't have the privilege of that information.
Well, then, would it be acceptable for me to offer an alternative where just maybe, if nothing else, a notch in the servitude, nothing else were revoked other than just a notch around the building, just to eliminate the encroachment? And I think, this guy is now a business owner in your parish, and I think that it makes sense to try to help the people you serve as much best you can without burdening the drainage department. I don't think that will do that. I think if you just, and I have a drawing for an alternate that might suffice for what I'm asking to be done, if y'all want to see it.
I think you need to take that to the drainage board.
I agree. I think that's something that the drainage board would need to look at.
I mean, can y'all approve it pending approval or accept approval of the drainage board?
Ours is only a recommendation going to the parish council.
Could I get that,
So-
could I get that addressed between now and when I go to council possibly, and maybe have it dealt with at that point?
I think it would come up for review. Would it come up for review? Well, I don't know now probably wouldn't come up for review in front of the council until January. 5th.
I'm just trying to offer an alternative that wouldn't delay this man any further.
What I would suggest, and I think the best thing to do would be actually for you to request that your application be pulled and held over until the January commission meeting.
Okay.
Sit down with Bill Rue,
Come back with
show
an
him your
alternative.
alternate proposal, and bring that back to the commission.
Okay, that sounds great.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Kluwak.
when I visited the site, they had like a lean-to in the back that I see is not shown on this drawing that would be severely into that encroachment of this servitude.
Yeah, I
Would you
think
please?
he was proposed to remove that.
Oh, you're gonna
Yes,
remove it?
yes, sir.
Would you put that on, show it and say it and
Absolutely,
everything?
yes, sir.
Because when you go out there, it looks like I don't know exactly how far from the building, but it looks like it goes halfway to the building in the back.
Yes,
And
it
that
does.
would cover that lean tube, and that lean tube sticks out quite a bit more than what you're showing right here.
It's a great suggestion. I'll make sure that we address that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Nance?
I have one more comment. If you're going to remove this, something I think it needs to be said. There are ways to do this, similar to what you said, because the Drainage Department did do this for a house that was built on Highway 73, and that guy knew that he was building it there, and then he threw himself on the deal, and they worked out something with the Drainage Department putting piling down. Now, he possibly had to pay for putting the piling down. But I know, and that was just residents. And I also visited your property, and I see that it is a working establishment.
Yes, sir.
And you're right, we don't need to displace any workers because of
Right.
something that, and truthfully, I'm glad to hear that the Drainage Department is going to do something, because that ditch probably hadn't been cleaned out ever. I mean, there's trees this big around in it, so
Right.
they haven't paid any attention to it in the past.
Yeah, I appreciate all the recommendations, and I'll ask that it be pulled, and I'll I'm sure that we can work something out with Mr. Root.
So, just to clarify, you're requesting that this item be pulled
Yes.
until the January Planning Commission meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just to make it official, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion
Second.
by Bob Nance, seconded by Milton Cluott. Any discussion? Not, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Dalton?
If he's pulling it, why are we voting?
Just to go ahead, it's
But what are we voting for?
to allow it to.
Allow him to pull it.
Move it to next month's agenda.
Oh, I'll
That's-
vote for
that's-
that, yeah.
So I have a yes. Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Nance? Mr.
Yeah.
Cluott? Mr. Sadley?
Yes.
Mr. Esnard?
Yes.
Ms. Zarazua Gradine?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll see you next month, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Item 10, committee reports, subdivision ordinance subcommittee. Mr. Cluott?
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, we did not have a meeting last month, and there was nothing to report, and we will not have a meeting this month. And we'll take up the matter of the subdivision ordinance subcommittee in January. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 11, new business. Are there any items of new business commissioners want to bring forth to the full body? Not. Item 12, old business, Mossy Oak status update.
Good evening, Madam and gentlemen. I'm David Cohn. I'm an attorney. I represent the developer of Mossy Oak subdivision. You've asked the planning staff to have the developer, America Homeland LLC, come forward and give a status of their subdivision. I have provided a letter dated December 6, 2011, to Mr. Compton's office that you probably have at this point, that lays out where we see the subdivisions at this point in time. So with that, if you have any questions, we'll see what we can do to answer them.
I have a question for you, Mr. Cohn.
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to explain to me how my requesting a status update constitutes a rescinding your preliminary approval.
It does not.
But that's not what you're stating in your letter.
When we're called up, when Mossy Oak is called up for a status review, when no one in the history of the parish has ever been called up for a status review under the ordinance that was pointed out, simply raises a suspicion of the motive of why Mossy Oak is being called up for a status review.
In the past, Mr. Cohn, I worked with a number of developers, and they made a point to contact the planning department if they were having difficulty. There was never any need. This all arose because I had individuals questioning me in regards to Mossy Oak. What's going on with the property? Nothing's taking place. I, in my capacity as the chairman, have the right to go and ask staff if they have been contacted by your client or if the construction plans have been submitted. That is what I did. And you can ask Mr. Leuenberger. In our conversations, I never said anything about going ahead and rescinding. I simply wanted to get some information. There is a law on our books that says that the commission shall have the right to rescind a preliminary approval if construction plans have not been submitted within 6 months. Back in October, when I first questioned him, I could have gone ahead, when he told me no, I could have gone ahead then and said, put it on the agenda and put it up for rescinding the preliminary approval. I didn't do that. I simply said, give him another month, maybe something's going on. Another month went by, still no communication and no construction plans. At that point in time, I requested Mr. Leuenberger to place the item on our agenda. It's very simple. Status update does not constitute rescinding the preliminary approval. And sir, I did not appreciate your letter.
All right. Do you have any other questions about the status of the subdivision?
I don't, but maybe some of the other commissioners do.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dalton.
I have a question for staff, or legal. This 6-month thing, the time requirement, of course, this is all news to me. I just learned of this tonight, or when we got this packet. Is that an optional thing, or are we required to act at 6 months?
No, you have the right to rescind it. You're not required to rescind it.
So there's no so when are we required to act? In other words, is there any point in time that we have to act?
If construction does not commence by 24 months from the preliminary plat approval, the preliminary plat approval is automatically rescinded, so that wouldn't require an action.
So we have no mandatory action at our point right now. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners at this time?
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman. I'm looking, Mr. Cohn, at the response of, I guess it's Mr. Compton, to your questions that you mentioned earlier. There were actually twofold about other properties that might have slipped past the 6 month.
Yes, sir.
I want to be clear on that. You mentioned East Creek, Sandy Point, and of course your own, or the development that you're representing, Mossy Oaks. So that one notwithstanding, I'd like the record to show that East Creek Shadow's preliminary plat says it was approved July 13th. Unless my arithmetic is off, that's not yet 6 months. Would that not be January 13th? So I'm not sure exactly what that has to do with this. And then the other one, of course, it says it was approved in June 9th, 2010. I'd like you to know, sir, I was not on this commission then, and I also believe that if that's indeed the case, two wrongs don't make a right. I do recall, sir, you challenging this commission and actually bringing into a court of law both the chairman and our planning director, Mr. Ricky Compton, based on the law of us not making a decision in 60 days. I'm sure you recall that. And as an officer of the law, I'm sure you fully believe, sir, that we have to uphold the law. When I was trained for this job in Donaldsonville by the Capital Region Planning Commission, I was told that our primary concern as Planning and Zoning Commissioners is to uphold the codes and the ordinances in our LDC. So with that, I would just like to read, before we go any further, something that Mr. Marchand referred to, and it's our Section 17405H. You've mentioned it in your letters as well. Mm-hmm. If a subdivider does not submit the final plat and construction plans within 6 months, the Planning and Zoning Commission shall have the right to rescind approval of the preliminary plat. The engineering review agency shall be responsible for notifying the Planning Commission of any subdividers that fail to submit construction plans within the 6 month duration period. Did you get any notification, sir?
I did not.
Did your client you represent, Mr. Derek Murphy, receive anything? So is it is it
I-
this commission?
I think we're here with, that's
Well-
not an accurate statement. We did get notice from the planning staff
Well beyond
to be
6
here for this status conference.
Right, that's well beyond 6 months, though, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Didn't you come before this commission, as I recall, back in February?
No, the February date was the date that the court signed a judgment ordering the approval of the plat.
And isn't that the date where the 6 months would begin?
I think it could reckon from that date, yes.
Okay, so are we?
I think it was actually signed on that date by
Are we
Mr.
clearly
Compton.
several months beyond that 6-minute period, sir?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And so you were not notified by the staff. So I think if you have any bones to pick about this, I don't think it's with this commission. I actually didn't believe it was last time. I believe it's more with the staff. I just wanted to remind you of, and you put it in your own letter, section 17405H.
Yes, sir.
You have it, Mr. Kluot?
Mr. Chairman, I was contacted by several citizens in relation to a few things, and I'm just asking for a status update report on it. Has the traffic study been solved? Has everything been okay?
I think Derek Murphy, I asked him to come along tonight in case there was a technical question. I can't answer that, but I will ask Derek. What were your other questions?
Okay, my next question is the drainage. I was told, hearsay, may not, I don't know, was told that something was wrong with the elevations and the drainage or something with the benchmark, the 100-year flood FEMA benchmark. Is that any truth to that? Or is that, and if it is, has it been solved?
I would suspect that would be part of the plans that have been submitted, and Mr. Murphy may can address that in your third question.
Okay. Now, my next question is, when we was reviewing this project back in the first of the year, I received, or should I say the commission received, a DEQ letter with their report. Has that been addressed? Do y'all have a permit to discharge your sewer system through the DEQ right now?
To the DEQ or Department of Health and Hospitals?
Both, the DEQ and the Department of Hospital, either one, both of them.
The status on all three of these, the traffic study, whether there's a potential drainage issue, and the DEQ status, I'm going to ask Mr. Murphy.
Okay, I have a few more, sir.
Oh, you got more, all right.
Okay, have y'all, I know the big thing with me was the pipeline. Okay, have y'all contacted the pipeline and worked out a situation where y'all can go ahead and do your project with the pipeline? The last time I talked with them and spoke with them and visited them, yep, nothing had been done. They were not even contacted.
What I'm aware of is that on the pipeline company, there was a meeting with Boardwalk Pipeline, who's acting for or on contract with Gulf South Pipeline. That meeting took place originally in June. There's been another meeting that took place in November and another one in December. Now where that lies at this point, since Mr. Murphy was involved in the meetings, he can tell you at what level that discussion is at today.
Right now, those are the concerns that were, some of the citizens in that area purveyed to me.
Yes, sir.
Ask me about.
All right, well then, Mr. Murphy, you'd address those 4 questions.
Commissioners, how you doing? Derek Murphy
Fine.
with Quality Engineering and Surveying. I'm going to address these in order that Mr. Kluot asked us. The traffic study, at the time we had the preliminary plat approval, there was no off-site or basically any turn lanes or any improvements required at that time. So the requirement for a traffic study at that time was satisfied. The drainage study also was approved at that time. As far as a benchmark, of course, as everything gets updated through the years, benchmarks become basically null and void and new ones. Of course, when we did these plans, we used the updated benchmark system of the parish, and that has been rectified, and plans have been submitted. DHH permit, of course, we have applied for a DHH DEQ permit. That's in the process of ongoing, and as per standard and customary, that's going through the approval process as we speak. And pipeline, we have met with pipeline companies out on site. We met with them when we did all of our topographic survey and had them locate the pipelines, let them know what we were doing, what our plans are. We have met with them recently. showing construction plans, and we have contacted all their engineering department, and they are telling us what is required in order to do the crossings. They do not see a problem as of right now.
Got any other questions, Mr. Kluwak?
No, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Actually, I have one question, but it's not for you, Mr. Murphy or
Okay.
Mr. Cohn. It's actually for Mr. Compton.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. According to the ordinance, our ERA is supposed to notify the commission when the 6 months lapses and the construction plans have not been submitted. As at this point in time, the ERA is the staff, Mr. Compton. So why hasn't the commission been notified with these other developments?
I don't like answering questions with a question, but have you ever been notified?
Yes.
So since I've been here, we have not held that as a standard practice. And if that's something that, there's lots of code that I believe needs tweaking. That's a piece of language that I believe needs to be tweaked. It's an unreasonable expectation to think that a final plat and construction drawings are going to be submitted within 6 months. I don't have a good excuse. It just hasn't happened since I've been here. And I believe that the 24-month of automatic rescission is probably a much more reasonable timeline to expect someone who got something approved to work through their problems and to get something started on a piece of property. So that's just my excuse is I don't think 6 months is a reasonable time frame to get those things done. I think that especially in this economic time, not 7 months ago, you guys extended a preliminary plat because of the economic situation. I don't see this as being much different. They're 8 months into the process. They're still figuring things out. It's not much different than the man who stood before you and said, we're in a recession and I can't start construction yet. Please give me another year, and y'all granted a year extension. To me, 24 months is a reasonable time frame to allow someone to start a project.
Well, at the same time, though, Mr. Compton, I can tell you from personal experience, I stated it before, there was a lot of communication between the plan department and the developers, and if there were problems, they at least let the plan department know. Now, there have been some developments that have, for whatever reason, they haven't made the 6 month period because the project got dropped altogether. It seems to me that simply making the commission aware that a developer is having some issues or something to keep us in the loop of what's going on is it's just good business. So, Mr. Kluwak?
Mr. Derrick, could you come back up? I got a few more technical questions to ask you. And I'm sorry I didn't ask you before. How did the raising of the 100-year flood mark benchmark, how did it affect this property? Did it affect the lots? And how did it affect the drainage with this particular property? I'm looking at a plat now, and you said it changed the plat a little bit, if I'm correct. Did it change the layout of the subdivision in relation to the drainage? Did it change the layout? I have a plat in front of me that's basically the one that we looked at at the first of the year. Did that change? Did that layout of that subdivision change?
In the submitted construction plans, yes, sir, we are submitting a revised preliminary plat where we reduce the lots, the number of lots.
You wouldn't happen to have a copy of that right now. Boy, that sure would help. Thank you, Mr. Terry. Thank you very much.
Derek, you wouldn't know just off the top of your head what the number of lots are as far as the reduction?
11 lots.
11 lots.
We got 128.
And how did it affect you? Did it affect your location of your sewer treatment plant?
No, sir.
So it still remains within the flood zone?
Yes, sir.
And DEQ and Board of Health, everybody's okay with that from what you're getting at preliminary approvals?
Normal and customary, yes, sir. What we do is we build up that area to be above the 100-year flood. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I keep this, sir?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's been submitted to it's been submitted to engineering, so that's, yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Not. Gentlemen, appreciate your attending the meeting and answering our questions.
Thank you, sir.
Item 13, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Julio Dumas, seconded by Bob Nance. Discussion or opposition? We're adjourned. We will reconvene as the Joint Planning and Zoning Commissions in 10 minutes.